Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Sweeties, our story begins in the Joseon era, which lasted for 600 years, before Korea entered the constitutional era. Despite this, its prestige remained, and people were divided into social classes, with wealth becoming hereditary. We go to this university with a young man named Min Seok, who gets angry when he finds himself ranked second and that Seonghwa-ju was the top student. She appears and tells him that she's his problem again and that he has to get used to it. He tells her that she's inferior to him, because she's ordinary and not from a royal family, but she threatens him given her wealth, saying that if anyone speaks ill of him, her royal blood will be lost. She goes to the head of the Royal Academy, Du, who sees that Seonghwa-ju is at the top, as usual, and confronts her about why the royal family established this school to ensure equal opportunities. He starts talking about the nobility and presents her with a gift from the era of the weak king, constantly mocking her. This makes her leave and give up. She's not interested because she won't accept anything less than being a great queen. So we come to the present time with Songju, who is meeting with her team at the company. She sees that they've lost sales and decides to investigate the company's scandals. They tried to reduce sales, but then they were defeated. Songju is very strict with her about many things, and she knows how to manage her money and silences them quickly. Suddenly, her assistant, Do Ha-jong, arrives to leave for the palace. She's upset, because she doesn't want to visit His Majesty the King on his birthday. She encourages the whole team to work hard and write articles about her being the heir to the castle group and an invitee to His Majesty the King's birthday party. She writes these articles even though she's not the heir yet, but she just likes to stir up controversy. So she goes to the news articles that are already being written about her with this young man, who is preparing himself. He turns out to be the eldest prince. Union and everyone at the palace is getting ready for this celebration, especially on the day of the party. His assistant enters the scene, armed with the king's weapon, the one he's had for a long time. He aims it at Hyun because he's excited and it scares him a lot. When Hyun talks about needing to wake up today and stop sleeping, Hyun yells at him and shuts him up immediately. Then we go to the press gathering and the arrival of important figures for the party, because it's the king's birthday. Suddenly, this car arrives, and our beautiful heroine Seung-gi-ju gets out. She greets everyone, and they're taking pictures of her because she loves it. They see that she's wearing red for the birthday too, steal the spotlight, and they take lots of pictures of her. She loves it and greets everyone all the time. The team sees that she's become famous now, and they're taking advantage of this to sell products and boost sales since she's really managed to steal the spotlight on all social media platforms. The team sells out of all their products, and she's walking since she's the leader of Castle and heading to the king's party. We go to her after she sees that everyone, they're dressed in traditional Joseon-era clothes, talking about her as the heir's second child, and making fun of her because she thinks she's the heir, which she isn't. They annoy her a lot because she's crazy, and she actually shows this craziness in front of them to shut them up, and they immediately leave her alone. Then this young man, who is her brother, Asmyung Taeju, comes to her, and she can't stand him at all because he's always putting her down, and he thinks her sales have dropped lately, so she embarrasses him and makes him realize that even if she's only halfway around her, she's still above him. She insults him because he's using cheap tactics and thinks she's trying to hide her true self behind other things. She tells him that even though they're not full siblings, they are still siblings, and this makes her go and shut him up because he needs to know his place. She keeps suffocating him. Then it's time for them to enter the main hall, and she sees that they're actually at this ceremony. She goes straight to the entrance of the young crown prince and the child, who his name is Yayun, and he can't stand royal attire. It's only worn to maintain the king's image. Everyone is eagerly awaiting the arrival of the grand prince, Ian, so the ceremony can begin. He arrives ready, and our handsome hero Ian appears. Everyone else is immediately dressed in royal attire, their attention focused on him. They greet him warmly, and his brother is delighted. This is in stark contrast to the girl who is actually Yayun's mother. We learn that Ian is his uncle, and he greets them all. Yayun is completely unfamiliar with the royal dress code, and doesn't like it at all because he has to adhere to the dress code protocol. He constantly embarrasses her by welcoming everyone and then taking his seat. She's extremely annoyed with him and can't stand him. The ceremony begins and everyone celebrates. In Korea, they have him wish happiness and peace for the people, his mother and his uncle. They are overjoyed to see him. Meanwhile, Songju is standing amidst the fireworks display, which looks like Joseon has been around for a long time, and she's focused on Ian when he arrives, and the festivities and games begin. She goes off alone to drink and notices that everyone is welcoming the prime minister. From Jeonju, who appears here and goes to Seongyangju. She wants to treat him normally, even though he's dressed in royal attire like a minister in the Joseon era. He talks to her, and in the front row he was boring. He thinks she's doing a good job and that The red outfit was intentional, even though it's forbidden in the palace. But she wants everyone to know. Basically, she heard everyone talking about her, saying she's illegitimate and not the heir to the throne like they say. Suddenly he comes and leaves her immediately. She wants to enjoy herself. So she goes to Ian, who's standing alone and doesn't want to be alone in case something happens to him because he's important to them. She goes to talk to him about getting married because he's so handsome. Since girls are always looking at him, especially since he's thinking of getting married soon, as everyone else wants to, this will make him suffer in the palace because when he gets married, he'll leave and won't be able to manage the child, who still doesn't know how to run the country at all. So he'll be responsible for him, telling him everything he does and all the parties, making things complicated for him. And Minjung doesn't want to be in charge at all, but it will happen. He has to abolish the law for the king's marriage, which requires the prime minister's approval. He leaves. And Minjung is relieved because he knows he wants to abolish this marriage law. So we go to Seongyong. Jo, who is trying to find a sign in the palace, suddenly finds herself in a situation where she welcomes him. He learns her name and doesn't understand why she can walk anywhere in the palace since she's not related to him. He allows her to leave before he counts to 3, because that's what he'd do for his future school graduate. She's shocked. Suddenly, an explosion occurs in the palace. He goes there and sees what happened and how many people are suffering. He remembers the time when the explosion happened, and that his father died in the fire. Minjung comes and checks on him. Suddenly, Yeom comes and hits him because he thinks he started the fire to take the throne from her son. Everyone is shocked, but he comes and checks on him. Everyone is shocked by what happened to Ian, so he leaves. Minjung decides to restrict the media so they don't find out what happened, since the king died 3 years ago, and they were relieved that things had finally calmed down in the palace. We then go to Kroseong-gi-jo, who is lost in thought thinking about what happened, which makes Do surprised that she left so quickly. But she knows that there was a fire in the palace, and this is what made her walk and think that Do is a fan of Prince Ian, and they walk along, so she walks away. She is happy, thinking that there was a problem between her and Ian because he was with him at the Royal Korean Academy, but she denies it and sees that she hates him very much because he is a monster. So she remembers the past when she was inside the academy to practice throwing arrows. She will train on them all the time, like in the past. And she still does not know how to leave her. And her income will come to her all the time. She gets confused and begins to walk. He tells her that as long as she makes a mistake, she must be punished. He knows her name and description because she used the place at the wrong time. He punishes her and deducts her points and shows her his ear. She is shocked because of the fact that there was no individual training, and a token of the key that she knew how to take. And I see that he is treated only with special treatment. She will not allow anyone to take her joy, and she will walk away, leave him shocked by her. And leave, she says goodbye to him and she can't stand it at all. And she sees that he is very ugly. So he spends the day with Ian, who is writing. But Yeonrang comes to him and regrets what happened yesterday. Because she did that because she was afraid for King Yeon. And this is the one who heard the news that happened about him and decides to forgive her as long as she regrets him. And because of that, she knows that no one cares about the owner, especially since the palace was burning, and she responds. The blame is on him, because he is the guardian, and he had to protect Yoon in the first place. And this is what confirms this because he is still young, and does not know how to take the continents of the country, and that everyone has his place, and you must adhere to him, and because of this, that everyone is trying to reach him, because this increases their strength and trust in themselves, so he must trust in the place he is in because his value continues to plan his crown. And this reminds him of the past, when he was young, and he used to know his father and he got 100% on the exam, and he wasn't interested, because that's what's normal for him, and it's not necessary. Kalis is deprived of his royal title, so that he won't stand in the way of the crown prince. Even when he grew up, he was made to be biased. One day she wants him to marry so that he can be a support for the king, and she wants him to be the girl who chooses him, so that he can prove his loyalty to her and the king. So we go to Sung, whose father Yoonjuk proposes marriage to her, but she refuses to do so now because she still has a big job ahead of her. But her brother and his wife come and try to convince her to agree because they couldn't believe they had found a suitable person for her. But she doesn't like this at all and sees her brother's marriage as a failure. When she argues with them, her father silences them, but she thinks that he wants to marry her to get rid of her and leave the company to her brother. Taeju confronts her father, saying that she will not listen to him because she used to marginalize him. So we go to Hyun, who learns from Ian that he is thinking about this marriage. And according to Yoonrang, he wants to prove his loyalty to her and that she will choose him. The right girl, but we still don't know who she is. So we go to Seung-gao, who is reviewing the team's work and is very agitated. Or maybe that's why you just go to her and see that she's agitated and wants her not to bring Personal problems into work. So we go to Yoon Seung-gun, who meets Ian and welcomes him. He agrees with me that he wants to be alone for a while. But that's why no one cares about the king, and he wants to get to know Yoon Ran differently. They can't stand each other at all, so when he goes to her, she remains suspicious that he doesn't know how to protect King Yoon. But she sees that people always love Ian, even after his parents' death. She sees him as unimportant and not fully royal at all, and she belittles him. So Seung-gao goes to see? The men are trying to get her to marry, so she'll choose whoever suits her. She's thinking about what she really needs, which is to be a royal woman. Then we go to Hyun, who goes to Ian and thinks he's inappropriate with his clothes, because people are talking about him. But in reality, everyone is actually happy with him and he thinks everyone loves him, unlike his family. Then we go to Seungju, who's thinking about Ian and thinks he's very nice. He's reading in the rain, and Ian wants him to come out and defend himself instead of letting everyone talk about him and treat him badly. But he's thinking about something else. Then we see that Seungju is trying to marry the eldest prince, Ian, and she's very surprised by her. So she goes to tell her that she's proposed to him. Hyun tells him about the proposal, and she immediately rejects it. This, of course, leaves him, and she doesn't want him. Why else would he do that? She's thinking that he plays with her because he wants her, so we go to Youngran, who is thinking about how to get him to agree to marry her. He goes and orders food for Hyun so he'll be quiet and listen to the rain in peace. He tells him that Sung applied under a slightly different name, and he decides to reject it immediately. She's shocked and sees that he's trying to annoy her, but she just makes her eat and calms down. However, she gets angry and keeps yelling because she doesn't like rejection. That's why she thinks of submitting an application to get him to accept her since she's from a rich family. She writes her name and is very arrogant. He keeps telling him about the application she's submitted, and she keeps doing this every few days, but he keeps rejecting her, which makes her angry and makes her scream. She remembers when she met him since they were in the same academy, and she writes again. Hyun goes and tells him what she wrote, and she reminds him, which makes him agree immediately, and this makes her happy, of course. She repeats that she goes to him immediately, and of course, she's very elegant. The eldest, Fionn Rang, knows that Sung came before her and went to meet him. She's currently happy about the palace, but meeting him alone is a challenge. They both focus intently on each other, and he notices she has many names. She gives him the royal handkerchief and proposes that they marry each other. This shocks them both, and they both stare intently at each other. This is the end of the part. So don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss the next part. Follow us.